Welcome to the first episode of the Community Courage Empowerment Channel. Today we're going to talk to Rachel. She's a director on the board of Community Courage, and she's going to talk to us today about her journey. She's an inspirational person that has fought through some significant challenges, and we really hope that her story empowers you to continue the conversation in the community about child sexual abuse.
Absolutely. So I'm Rachel. I'm English, in case you hadn't picked that up. And I came here 18 years ago. And when I was in my early teens, I prosecuted my much older half-brother, and who had been abusing me for over a decade.
Yeah.
You know, perpetrators just... they have such a hold over you that you just can't speak up when you're a kid. You can't speak up when you're an adult sometimes. But he abused somebody else who was close to me, a friend of mine. And there was a shift where I just thought, right, he's not doing that again.
So one of the questions that kind of really jumped out at me was like, who was the first person you actually spoke to? Like how, you know, you've had that kind of situation where it's all of a sudden it's become more, it's more than you and you want to kind of empower you to speak, but how did you make that first conversation? What, you know, who did you speak to first?
Yeah, there was an aunt that I was really close to.
Okay.
And I was able to tell her. And I think what we're doing is really powerful, because if you can have those conversations, I think adults can sometimes pick up on different things that might make them think, hang on, there's something not quite right.
Yeah. So one of the things you said, which we've talked about before, but was around that after you prosecuted him, 6 months isn't a long time for him to go into jail, and then he's back out in the community.
Yeah.
And obviously that, I think you said, didn't make you feel safe knowing that he was out there. So was that something that kind of drove you to move all the way to Australia? What triggered you to move to Australia?
It was that.
It was that? Yeah.
It was. So I went to uni, away from home, up north, went to Thailand, bummed around for a year, and then came to Australia. Yeah. And I was always quite focused about coming here. Yeah. I felt safe here. It's a long way away.
It is a long way away, yeah.
And our borders are pretty good in that they don't let convicted paedophiles in.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
it's a big move though, right? So growing up in a country, going through that type of situation and then not feeling safe and having to move to the other side of the world, that's a big step. You know, it's good that it's an option to do that, to make you feel safe, but I mean that is still a massive change for you, right?
Yeah, definitely.
One of the questions I got asked the other day, and I thought was really interesting, was what would you say to young girls out there that are potentially going through a similar situation or are suffering at the moment currently or recently suffered through child sexual abuse? What kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah, that's a big question.
Yeah, it is, isn't that right? No pressure.
All right, yeah. I think the more that people talk about it, the easier it becomes. It's a little bit like, you know, when mental health was a real taboo subject 10, 15 years ago. It isn't anymore, and people talk about it. I think the more that people can talk about it, then the easier it becomes. And then you get into a situation where you feel strong enough to empower others. And it's the whole cyclical thing. Yeah. So just talk. Yeah. As much as you can and be open. Yeah. You know, as I said earlier, the perpetrators are incredibly manipulative and controlling. And the more people talk about it, the more control that we can remove from them, of keeping secrets and it all being hushed over, and because that's what they feed upon, the fact that people aren't going to talk. So let's talk.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a simple solution to a complex problem, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is.
And I think we've kind of spoken a little bit through the community courage process of hopefully trying to empower people how to talk and how to respond as well. And people aren't necessarily equipped to respond after they've asked a question. So another curly question for you is, how would you want someone to respond to you if they asked you if you're okay, and you told them, potentially for the first time that I'm not okay, I've actually experienced child sexual abuse.
Yeah.
How would you want them to respond to you?
I wouldn't want lots of sympathy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Firstly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want them to say much, just that I believe you and I support you, and whatever you want to do with this, I'm here.
Yeah. I think that these kind of mediums and going through, launching this empowerment channel, community courage empowerment channel, it ticks the education box. It also goes into the power box, and if we educate and empower, then hopefully we can do that evolution, right, as a community. But I think, to touch on your point, you can overthink a lot of it, and we can sit back and look at strategy and look at different marketing ways and stuff like that. But I think you hit the nail on the head when you go, we just need to keep talking about it.
Yeah. It's no secret that the statistics are really high for the people who have gone through abuse to really not cope with life.
Yeah.
There's PTSD, and there's mental health issues, and there's drug abuse and alcohol abuse. And so what is it that enables people like you and I to be able to come out the other side and say, well, we're actually okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
We're not perfect, but we're all right. And we cope with what we're given.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point. And I always think about, unfortunately in this world, if you don't share your journey and your story, then a lot of people don't understand. They have no hope of understanding. And it's the thoughts that I have was around potentially people that have gone through this type of childhood sexual abuse, haven't coped well, turned to drugs, alcohol, maybe committed suicide without anyone actually knowing about it. So it's easy to write someone off and go, oh, they were a drug addict and they committed suicide, but there's usually a story behind it, right?
Yeah, of course.
And if people can't talk about it, then there's no way that we can help them.
No. I think it was the police liaison officer that said to me at the time, the best form of revenge is success.
Yeah.
And whenever I doubt myself, whenever I think, I can't do this, I think about that little phrase, and it really, really changes the way I think about things.
Yeah.
Because I won't let him win.
Yeah.
He hasn't won.
Yeah.
Because I'm far more successful than he'll ever be.
Yeah. And like your point before, once it starts impacting other people apart from yourself, it brings on this whole new dimension. And I think it's the same when you're looking at when we're looking at empowering people to report and to prosecute these people. Absolutely, it's a personal choice, but the more we do it, the more we protect other people, and the more we drive that social change, which is so important. Obviously, this is the first episode for the Community Courage Empowerment Channel, and we've got a few people that have contacted both yourself and myself around potentially being in a position to talk about it. So when we talk about driving this social change, and you put it really nicely around the fact that the solution is to talk more about it, hopefully we can get a few more of these types of videos out there.
Yeah.
What would you say to anyone that was thinking about potentially reaching out to us to do a video like this for our empowerment channel? Have you got any advice?
I would say don't be scared.
Yeah.
Because it's easier than they would think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once they do it, it's out of their head
Yeah.
and into a different realm. And people carry these secrets around, and they're heavy burdens.
Yeah, look, I have no doubt that having been sitting here and having this conversation with you, that you will inspire a lot more people to talk about it, because you're inspirational, and I'm really grateful that not only have you joined Community Courage as a director, that we can have this conversation and share this and share your story with everyone that's following our campaign, because more people that see success and inspiration from have had challenges and had some dark times, but the more people that can assimilate to the stories that we share, the better, and we'll just keep driving that social change. So thank you very much.
Good.
Thanks for sharing.
No problem.
All right, we can let the Groodle back out now.
Yeah. Is that what he is?
Groodle,
Cheers.
yeah, Groodle, yeah. You happy?
Yeah.
You okay?
Yep.
Yep.